have everyone's attention, please? Thanks, Year 12. Alright. Hey, guys. I need to get started, so have I got everyone's beautiful attention? Why are people not... Have you got... Oh, you left your book at home. Okay. Do you want to use this? You sure?
Yeah.
You can take this if you want. I don't need it.
No, it's okay, because then I'll drive.
Okay. Alright. Okay, so yesterday we got up to this stanza where we've got this consistent repetition of time, and we were talking about the... There we go. Alright, we were talking about the... thanks, girls. We were talking about the last line here before the taking of the toast and tea, and we wrote down the definition for metonym, which is the word or expression used as a substitute for something else. And I said that we'd just make this note today because we ran out of time yesterday. So, remembering the time frame we have here, the 1915 in England, taking of a toast and tea is that social nicety, the social convention of, sitting down and having some tea and toast that is like an everyday social convention. So the metonym here is using this phrase, the taking of a toast and tea, to refer to an everyday social convention that gives a sense of calm. And you know what it's like with any kind of crisis, there's that, oh, let me get you a cup of tea, or if people are stressed, sit down, I'll get you a cup of tea. So that is what he's referring to here. So what we're going to do is we're going to write metonym. Where's my... Going to put equals calming, and we have in this little bit, girls, if you talk and laugh while I'm talking, it makes it super difficult, okay, so please don't. I know it's the end of the day. Now, if we look at how this one, or listen to how this one sounds, we hear that alliterative T as well, before the taking of a toast and tea, and I think it just elevates the way that this sounds, and so it gives us that sense of polite society. I guess I think of it as like this toast and tea, and that need to pronounce the T in the way that you do it helps to enunciate those words quite clearly. And then once again we see this repeated refrain of, in the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. We've already written the annotation for this over here, okay? This is where we were saying that there's that sense of the superficial, we've got the rhyme, Prufrock's desired persona, a sense of not being worthy, high art. So that is just repeated here, so we don't need to write all of that down again here because you've already done so. Alright, so let's have a look at this next. Oh, actually, one thing I almost forgot to mention. Now, this is to do with form. With this particular stanza that we've just looked at, we have the calm social convention here with the need to enunciate these words, taking, toast and tea. That slows us down, but the repetition of time and the way that the structure of this stanza works creates a greater pace as you say everything down to here. In this last line, it slows us down to give us that sense of calm. So there's this fast pace that is exhausting, but then immediately calmed. So listen for it. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time, and this is where we start speeding up with this repetition. To prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet, there will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea. And so it's designed to slow you down. So I'm going to go to the side here, and now it does relate to form, because we're looking at how the structure of the stanza impacts the pacing at which the poem is supposed to be read. So what I'm writing is form, exhausting, fast, due to repetition. I should have put fast pace there, so just add pace. Fast pace due to repetition. Alliteration in last line. Calms the pace. When we're thinking about this internal argument that our flaneur Prufrock is having with himself, and he's like, there will be time, and he's trying to reassure himself, and then it's almost like he keeps bringing himself back down. So he builds up this sense of energy and indecision, and then he's like, okay, and calm down again, and he keeps doing that throughout. And then certainly when we read, in the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo, the long sounds in go and Michelangelo slow us down even further. In the room, and room is a word that we say with a little bit more, I guess, emphasis. We kind of slow ourselves down a little bit. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. So that slower pace is maintained. But then he starts to...
Sorry, miss. Why is he doing that?
I think it's because, you know, when you're naturally... if you're having a really long argument, so just say you're having an argument with someone that runs over days and weeks, and there are like... you have lulls in that argument, and so you might kind of pick up on the argument and then you kind of settle and have a bit of a break. I think internally that's what he's doing, and he's arguing within himself because he keeps on questioning, am I going to ask the question, am I going to stop hesitating? And then he goes, don't worry, to himself, there's going to be time, there's going to be time, there's going to be time, there's going to be time. But we know that he was very well aware of the relentless nature of time, and even though he's trying to convince himself, he's working up that frenetic pace because he knows deep down that there's not going to be time. And I think he reaches a point of maybe panic, and he brings himself back. He's like, it's okay, calm down. So I think it's that natural, this is just my interpretation, I think there's just this natural calming that otherwise he would be at that kind of panicked frenetic pace all the time, which is just not sustainable. So it's almost like...
It's kind of linked to existentialism, like you have to be cognizant of mortality in order to accept it, and then...
Yes. And because he knows that if he maintains this state of panic, then nothing is going to be resolved, and he's not going to work anything out. And it's like if you were to have a panic attack, you know that you can't maintain that, you can't stay in that place. You have to calm down, and it's only then that you can move forward or work out what you might need to do. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen again at some point, because, you know, that's emotions, that's life. And I think we've got this replication of that notion here in this, you know, internal argument that he's having with himself. And then he goes back, he's really obsessed with this notion of time, as was Virginia Woolf. And indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare? And do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair. Listen to the D alliterative there, the do I dare, do I dare. Time to turn back and descend the stair. There's that, what would you call it? It's like a heaviness almost in the D, isn't there? And it is dental alliteration. Did you know, in all the years I've been teaching, I hadn't heard of dental alliteration, and then I was marking some essays from Ms. Wilkes' class, and I went, dental alliteration? What's that? And she's like, I found it. Now I'm using it all the time, dental alliteration. So just goes to show, continue to learn. And it does, it works well, because as soon as you do have to place the tongue for dare, it creates almost like a heaviness, doesn't it? And so we are going to, I should read the whole stanza. And indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare? And do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair. With a bald spot in the middle of my hair, they will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions, which a minute will reverse. Hopefully you're now thinking about pace and the way things like alliteration can dictate the pace in which something is read. It's really important. It kind of is a good way to really understand the power of alliteration beyond just making something memorable or stand out. So, firstly, obviously we've got this repetition, okay? And these questions that he keeps on asking, they're never answered. So the repetition is like it's his procrastination and his hesitation, his lack of self-confidence. So repetition indicates indicates his ongoing procrastination, his hesitation, and now this one, we're also going to add his lack of self-confidence. Now think about this. There's, will I answer, will I ask the question, will I do the thing, but do I dare is a bit stronger, because as soon as you say dare, there's that implication of risk, isn't there, and uncertainty as to whether or not you're going to be successful. That's why there's the whole, oh, I dare you to, I'll give you $10 if you do this, because a dare is usually something that's risky, that you perhaps don't want to do, that there's no guarantee that you're going to be successful. And here when he's saying, do I dare, I think that really is quite telling of his lack of self-confidence, that whatever it is that he wants to do, he knows that it is full of risk and uncertainty, and there's no guarantee that he's going to be successful. Do I dare? So and when he says time to turn back and descend the stair, we've got a couple of things there happening with, so we've got this repetition, the rhyme that's happening with dare, stare, hair. Descending the stair, it could be that alluding to going down into hell. It could be if you're turning back and descending the stair, going back, like almost reaching that point of whatever it is that you want to do, but then chickening out at the last moment, we are therefore going to firstly identify our gentle alliteration. Do I dare? Do I dare? And then descend here. So I'm writing harsh, and it's a slow pace. Do I dare and do I dare. Time to turn back and descend the stair. Let's just identify our rhyme here. I'm sorry, time is not it. I've got these new pens. I got them at Officeworks yesterday and I'm obsessed. Look, I found new, better ones, Miss Wilk, for rubbing out the ink. Look at that. She didn't even look. So our rhyme is dare and stare and hair. And we are going to underline descend the stair. Oh, actually, let's underline that whole time to turn back and descend the stair.
Wait, is that an orange? Different colours of that.
Yeah, I did. So, descend the stair here is used metaphorically. So, we're going to say metaphoric turn back, chicken out. Then we have with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. So here we've got this self-confidence, this lack of self-confidence evident again, and this notion of aging. So he is thinking about this, you know, this irrepressible time and the relentlessness of time, and how for a man it can sometimes mean that they will start to go bald. Their hair might start getting thin, and they might, you know how sometimes an elderly man may have quite thin legs and arms? So here, these three things are linked, and the fact that we've got the brackets, this indicates the invasive thoughts that he's having about what other people might be saying about him. So that self-consciousness and that paranoia about what others think of him. So bald spot, we're going to say aging, and all three of these things lack of self-confidence. Is that better? Lack of self-confidence, and with the brackets, oh, what's the technical term for brackets? Parenthesis, that's it. What? P-A-R.
E-N.
It's like parent with face color. Yeah.
That's it, isn't it? P-A-R-E-N. Okay. I haven't written that word in years. I'm just like, what is it? Parent. That's a good way to remember it. No, I can own my fallibility. Parenthesis. Parenthesis. T-H-E. There you go. Okay. Okay. And we're saying that this is equals the intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts paranoid about what others think of him. And if we kind of step out of the flaneur here and think about our poet, it definitely was reflective of his paranoia about what others would think of his physical limitations and perceived cowardice at not going to war.
And it's that kind of imagery of that old man is like the antithesis to the Michelangelo influence that we made.
Yes. That's good. That's really good, actually.
It actually reminds me of in Wolf, you know, Sally married that man and his skull poking out of the buttonhole.
Yeah, that I like that a lot because it is definitely the those two images placed close together. We've got that antithesis of Michelangelo's David. David, he is not. Okay. Now, here, where he says, thanks guys, this bit here, my morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. We see his attempts at being what he thinks will be presentable. He's fashion conscious. He's talking about the beauty in which he dresses himself, and yet that is quashed by these intrusive thoughts about that which he can't control. He can't control the effects of aging, and so there's this sense of attempting to hide those things that he sees as his fallibilities, similar to the idea of, you know, trying to prepare a face to meet the faces that we meet. It's you know, that trying to appear in the way that you want to be seen. So if we just make a small note about that, and that's going to be too close to that colour. I'm going to switch it out for this one. That's all right. And I'm just going to put my note here. I'll just move it so that you can see it better. Of I'm just going to put the quote I'm just putting the quote prepare a face because we made notes about this for the quote just above where he says to prepare a face for the faces that you meet, and we had said that we've got trying to comfort and convince himself. Oh, that was the time. Face that you meet. Do we not make a note of that one? Maybe I was going to, and then we can add it here. I thought we'd made the note. Maybe I said something but didn't write it down. We just put above here facade. So what I've written there is facade trying to fit in, and I'm sure that I spoke about it when we read that bit. There's the link there with Shakespeare and his continued exploration of duality or appearance versus reality, and people looking one way on the outside but having thoughts that are very different to that. And so in society he's quite conscious of the fact that that's what we're all doing. We're all putting on a face according to the situation that we're in, and he's trying really hard. He wants to put on that face and be accepted and present the image that he wants people to have of him. And so when he repeats it here with this notion of, oh, I've got everything looking just right in my clothing, on either side of that he's got these intrusive voices coming in making negative comments about things that he can't control, that he can't hide or disguise. Now he repeats do I dare, but this time do I dare disturb the universe. This is one of those quotes that is quoted perhaps almost the most out of Prufrock. Do I dare disturb the universe? People love that quote, and if you I would guess, I'm not 100%, but if you Google quotes from Prufrock, you are absolutely certain to have pop up, do I dare disturb the universe? Why do you think that would be, out of all of these words, why do you think that's something that strikes people? Why is that something people quote all the time? Yes.
It's like contrasting with like religious context in the fact that it's like the universe and fate and not like God's plan.
Yeah, beautiful. Because if you're disturbing the universe, it's everything. It's your foundation. It's not just, am I going to go and talk to this person or am I going to be accepted? If he's disturbing his entire universe, that means taking that enormous leap into changing or questioning everything, and that's huge. And so you're exactly right. Charlie, what were you going to say?
Like, how is he disturbing the universe? By questioning time, or just like by trying to present it as far as not?
That's the question. So guys who may not have heard because they're chatting, so Charlie just said, how is he disturbing the universe? And that's it. That's the question, and that's the unanswered or multi-answered question that everyone's like, it's like, who's an extension here? Have you guys started waiting for Goddo yet?
We love the context.
Okay, who is Goddo?
He's like God.
Is he though?
No, actually, God. It's like the idea of him.
Is he though? Could he be something else?
And that's the question.
That's the question. Same thing, okay? Exactly the same thing. Do I dare disturb the universe? What is what is being disturbed. And so with Godot, okay, so those of you who aren't in extension, it's a play, highly confusing. These two guys are waiting for Godot. Godot, spoiler alert, never comes. But people have debated ever since the play was first performed, well, who is God or who is it that they're waiting for? And lots of people argue, yep, that it's God. And that works, right? But you could argue something else, and that works, and you could argue something else. And so the same with Do I Dare Disturb the Universe? So if you take that, Do I Dare Disturb the Universe, and think about Eliot himself. Now, we know that Eliot and modern man, the modernist writers certainly, were questioning religion. They were questioning faith. They were looking at things that were evidence that their faith wasn't providing them with what had been promised. And so for Eliot, he was very much going, if I disturb my universe and walk away from Christianity and try to find something else, what is going to occur? Is that going to be disastrous? Is it going to pay off? What will I find? Will it be the thing that I need to do? Or should I stay within comfort and not disturb anything? Don't rock the boat. You know that quote or that saying, don't rock the boat. Keep things as they are. Be careful what you wish for. All of that idea plays into Do I Dare Disturb the Universe? So whilst we can definitely look at this and think about Eliot and modern man as questioning those core beliefs, especially the religious beliefs, you can apply that quote to anyone in any context, and it's going to resonate in different ways. So if you think to yourself right now, what would it mean for me to disturb my universe? And you guys are really at a perfect time to think about that, because you're so close to reaching independence out of school. You're going to suddenly have the legal ability to make your own decisions and have the legal consequences that go along with that. If you wanted to turn around and say, see you mum and dad, I'm out of here, and they go, no you're not, and you can go, I'm 18 and I've left school, what are you going to do? So you're suddenly going to have all this power to disturb your universe. And if you think along, well, what are the consequences for that? And you don't know. It could be brilliant, it could be terrible, and you have to take the plunge in order to find out, or not. Better the devil you know. Don't rock the boat. Be careful what you wish for. Disturb the universe. Charlie.
So if I was to include that in an essay, would you argue like one thing that he's disturbing the universe by doing this like questioning time as like one thing, or would you have to hammer in that it's like ambiguous?
You could do either. Either, yeah. Because if you're going to say, I think that here he's questioning the notion of time, right? And then you've got all the evidence to back that, that can work beautifully. You could also go, it's ambiguous. He's suggesting these things, and that can work. Now, because in this module, there's always that need for you to have that way of bringing it into a contemporary reader, that's a good place where you can do that, where it can be, for a contemporary reader, the notion of disturbing a universe continues to resonate for, and then bring in some, specifics. You're not going to do that in huge sentences or anything. It could be just a sentence. And when we start showing you some samples of how that's done really nicely, you'll see how that can be done. But it is a really good place to do that, because that's the question. What is the universe? What's being disturbed? What are the consequences? Do I dare disturb the universe? So you can see why that quote is perhaps the most famous of, certainly of Prufrock, but of Eliot's poetry. It'd be interesting. Do an experiment if you think of it, and just go famous quote from Eliot's poetry and see if one of the first suggestions is, do I dare disturb the universe? So what are we going to write for all of that? We need to write something. But we're actually not going to write a huge amount, because this is really a place where you can have that independent reading, considering everything that we've just discussed. Firstly, obviously we've got this repetition happening of the do I dare. So I'm just going to circle that again. And for my notes, I'm just going to do an arrow up, because I've kind of used that same colour to link. I'll know that it's that repetition. You know what we're going to put for the annotation? It's a question for you. What is the universe? One thing that we can say, because of the strength of this term universe, we can say, and I might just okay, so an ambiguous annotation. What is the universe? One thing that we know is the strength of the word universe, and that definitely suggests things like core morals, beliefs, the systems, social systems, your own systems and structures, your place in the world. If I went home this afternoon and I said, I've just quit my job and you losers are on your own, I'm moving to Sydney to live out my dreams as a young free woman, bye, and left my family, think of that as disturbing the universe. Now, what would the consequences be? Are there going to be any positive consequences? Maybe.
Sounds like Laura Brown.
A little bit. Absolutely. And can you see the links here, guys? Can you see the links here with Virginia Woolf, especially the representation given through The Hours, the film, that notion of, are women in all those different contexts able to disturb the universe? Are they able to go after the autonomy that they desire? What are the consequences to the family? Is it worth it? Is it worth it after all? And I know that we're running out of time soon, but the reason why I wanted to mention that is because we have here, would it have been worth it? Here we go, look at this. And would it have been worth it after all? So this is, I've turned the page. Would it have been, hey guys, just bear with me for a second. Better shush. Would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this and so much more? It is impossible to say just what I mean, but as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worthwhile if one settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl and turning toward the window should say, that is not it at all, that is not what I meant at all? So he goes on to then go, if I disturbed the universe, would it have been worthwhile? It's exactly what we see with The Hours and our 50s mother who comes back acknowledging the irreparable damage that she did to her children in leaving them, and saying it's the worst thing a mother can do. But was it worthwhile for her? And I don't know that we get a full answer to that. Charlie. Absolutely. So in terms of technique for that bit that Charlie just asked, so you've got obviously your obvious ones of your alliteration, your repetition. Rhetorical question works really well. A lot of times people use rhetorical question and don't really do much with it. But the fact that this is a true rhetorical question, because there isn't that firm answer, and it really is asking you as the reader in whatever context you are to question what your universe is, just like I was doing with you. That's a true rhetorical question, isn't it? And he doesn't come and answer it for us. We never find out what he actually means by that. We can only speculate because it has so many different potential meanings. So we should definitely write rhetorical question here. It's a true rhetorical question. Yeah. Don't write true rhetorical question in an essay, but it's a rhetorical question that resonates, isn't it? All right, it's been fun.